Hello YouTube, and welcome to Superpower Broadcasting. My name is Kevin Castley, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the recent heated exchange between Mayor Pete Buttigieg and Tulsi Gabbard at the Democratic debate. And wow did Mayor Pete Buttigieg absolutely destroy Tulsi and call her out on her BS. Now, Tulsi, she talks about, my peace, and regime change wars, and we're bad. These are bunk and junk talking points. Oh, she is a bundle of cringe. Absolute cringe. And based Pete, he wasn't having it, and he called her out. And we're going to see in this clip here, it's about 3 minutes long, my hawks. We're going to see him absolutely destroy her, and she's about to get wrecked. So grab some popcorn. You're with Superpower Broadcasting here. We're going to watch this little clip from MSNBC. Then we're going to discuss. So, yeah.
But I want to get back to Pete Buttigieg and his comment about experience. Pete, you'll agree that the service that we both have provided to our country as veterans by itself does not qualify us to serve as commander-in-chief. I think the most recent example of your inexperience in national security and foreign policy came from your recent careless statement about how you as president would be willing to send our troops to Mexico to fight the cartels. As commander-in-chief, leader of our armed forces, I bring extensive experience serving for 7 years in Congress, on the Foreign Affairs Committee, on the Armed Services Committee, on the Homeland Security Committee, meeting with leaders of countries around the world, working with military commanders of different commands, dealing with high-level national security briefings, understanding what's necessary, the preparation that I've gotten to walk in on day one to serve as Commander-in-Chief.
Congresswoman, thank you. Mr. Mayor, I'll allow you to respond.
I know that it's par for the course in Washington to take remarks out of context, but that is outlandish even by the standards of today's politics.
Are you saying that you didn't say that?
I was talking about U.S.-Mexico cooperation. We've been doing security cooperation with Mexico for years, with law enforcement cooperation and a military relationship that could continue to be developed with training relationships, for example. Do you seriously think anybody on this stage is proposing invading Mexico?
That's not what I said.
I'm talking about building up alliances. And if your question is about experience, let's also talk about judgment. One of the foreign leaders you mentioned meeting was Bashar al-Assad. I have, in my experience, such as it is, whether you think it counts or not, since it wasn't accumulated in Washington, enough judgment that I would not have sat down with a murderous dictator like that.
Congresswoman Gabbard, let me allow you to respond.
Thank you. You were asked directly whether you would send our troops to Mexico to fight cartels, and your answer was yes. The fact checkers can check this out. No. But your point about judgment is absolutely correct. Our commander-in-chief does need to have good judgment. And what you've just pointed out is that you would lack the courage to meet with both adversaries and friends to ensure the peace and national security of our nation. I take the example of those leaders who have come before us, leaders like JFK, who met with Khrushchev, like Roosevelt, who met with Stalin,
like Donald Trump,
Reagan, who met and worked with Gorbachev. These issues of national security are incredibly important. I will meet with and do what is necessary to make sure that no more of our brothers and sisters in uniform are needlessly sent into harm's way fighting regime change wars that undermine our national security. I'll bring real leadership and experience to the White House.
I've got to respond. Senator Sanders, I'm going to have a
original point. Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.
So you see there. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, did she get destroyed. Wow, did she get destroyed. She talked about, well, you know, you wouldn't have the courage. Oh, the courage. You wouldn't have the courage to sit down and lick Bashar the Butcher's boots. He doesn't have the courage. Doesn't have the courage. He doesn't have the courage to lick the boots. You know, Neville Chamberlain, you know, he had the courage to lick the boots. Obama Kim, you know, had the courage to lick the boots. Donald Trump. And this, I love it. I love it so much because she cites JFK sitting down with Khrushchev and whatnot as an example of courage and leadership and resolve and all these cute little buzzwords basically. And then Pete Buttigieg is just like, or Trump with Kim, pointing out exactly that, yeah, going over and meeting somebody, that's not in and of itself a bad thing or a good thing. Now, I argue, I'm a very, very hawkish neoconservative, as you all know. So I, of course, have my red lines and my limits. And I find it, in many cases, inappropriate to meet with tin pot despots. And, you know, that's just a hard line for me, right? But there are cases in which it is appropriate to meet with them. For example, JFK meeting with Khrushchev was appropriate. And I'll say this because, of course, the Soviet Union was an evil empire. They killed 60 million people. But it is also the case that they had a ton of nukes. It would have led to World War III. And America, even though America had the upper hand and would win that conflict, America did not have the complete superiority to ensure a quick and swift victory that would have reduced casualties. It would have been a very, very, very bloody war, and America didn't have a 100% chance of winning. And at a minimum, a lot of people were going to die, and America didn't really have a good strategy going forward on how to defeat the Soviet Union in a nuclear war. And therefore, Kennedy decided that it would be better to go and negotiate an agreement of missile withdrawal from Turkey in exchange for Soviets withdrawing from Cuba. And of course, that was a victory. That was a small victory. He called the Soviet Union's bluff because, of course, Cuba was it was a much bigger coup. It was a much bigger strategic coup to them than the U.S. having missiles in Turkey was, because the U.S. had missiles all along the Soviet borders. But the only missiles that the Soviets had along America's borders were in Cuba. And yes, I'm sure there were some silos up over in the far eastern regions of Siberia, in, you know, basically around Alaska. But that's a very rural area for America. The closest big urban centers, putting Anchorage aside, were Seattle, right? And Hawaii. So not too close, right? Might as well have been another continent across, basically, right? Which, of course, it is technically, but I mean, it might have as well as been the difference between, you know, Eastern Siberia and India or whatever, right? Geographically speaking. Yeah, so when Kennedy went over to meet with Khrushchev, he was able to get a strategic victory out of it. He was also able to prevent a massive war, and he was able to remove the threat. Because let's just keep it real. Yes, we all want to liberate communism. We all want to liberate the people of the world from communism. But it was beyond the scope of what they were capable of doing effectively at the time. And nuclear war is a very serious thing. And And containment in that context was a better approach. Now, what was of immediate concern to JFK at the time was removing the thorn in the side of America. And that was located on the island of Cuba. Yes, it would be a very good thing to liberate the people from the enslavement of the communists there. But he's an American president, and it was his foremost duty to protect the American people. Now, I'm a hawk. I'm a liberal hawk. I'm a neocon, and we all know that. And we all know that I'm a moral universalist, and we all know that I believe that the Cuban people have as much dignity as the American people, the Canadian people, the North Korean people, the Russian people, and all deserve to be liberated in time. But given the context of the Cold War, and given it was not parity, but it also was not 100% complete advantage over the Soviet Union. It was somewhere in between the two. I can understand Kennedy saying, yeah, we're not going to just go in and do a nuclear war or whatever against the Soviets. We're not going to do it. We're going to negotiate a settlement, and it's going to, as best as I can, it's going to be one-sided in terms of America. And he got that, and that was smart. So that's a case of meeting. Now, of course, he didn't meet. He didn't meet with Khrushchev in that example. She talks about it as like, oh, well, he met with Khrushchev or whatever, the Cuban Missile Crisis. No, he didn't meet. They sent telegrams back and forth. They communicated. One was in Moscow, the other was in Washington. They didn't meet during the Cuban Missile Crisis. To my knowledge of history, they didn't meet in a room. It was signals passed back and forth. It was conversations between ambassadors. It was radio signals. It wasn't the sort of thing that she's talking about. But he did negotiate with Khrushchev, of course. Yeah, there's a difference between negotiating when you have the upper hand in order to secure a position where the status quo changes, but it benefits your side. Now, sure, you might not get a total victory out of it. It's not like, oh, they removed the missiles from Cuba, and now the Soviet Union is a capitalist democracy, and Cuba's a capitalist democracy. No, but that was beyond the scope of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The scope of the victory that he was able to edge out, given the circumstances, was actually pretty impressive, and it required his resolve to say, I'm going to fight for this. And I'm going to make it clear, and I'm going to call their bluff. Donald Trump is incapable of doing something like that. In fact, Donald Trump would say, oh, he's a dictator. That's cool. How can I write beautiful love letters to him? He's not interested in negotiating from a position of strength. He'll start with a position of strength and then forfeit it because he wants to see the swag palace of the dear leaders. He's a disgrace, right? And Pete Buttigieg points that out there. Like, well, he went in over and met Kim. So, of course, those are two different situations, very different situations. When JFK went and negotiated with the Soviets, he wasn't doing it from a position of sympathy. He wasn't doing it from a position of, oh, the Soviets are so freaking cool. They're so cool. I just want to talk to Khrushchev. I just want to tell him what a base leader he is. No, it was like, hey, buddy, get the missiles out. That's our backyard. You better do it, or there's going to be trouble. That was the context in which JFK engaged the Soviets. Here's the context in which Donald Trump engaged the North Koreans. Oh, we have all the power over you guys, but oh, wait, what? Your people do whatever you say? Oh, that's super cool. I wish I was like you. One day when I grow up, I want to be the dictator of North Korea too. That's basically what Donald Trump, the all-taker-in-chief, would say, right? He talked about how he wrote, and I quote, beautiful love letters to Kim. Oh, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. I mean, you want to talk about like iso-cuckery. That's objectively isolationist cuckoldry right there. That is disgraceful. That is embarrassing. People call him the leader of the free world. Leader of the free world? He's the leader of the young Kim Il-sung Socialist Youth League. I mean, this guy's a disgrace. This guy's treasonous. Oh, what a disgrace. when we look at the context in which Tulsi went over to meet with Bashar the Butcher, the man who has killed 600,000 Syrians, to hold on to his swag palace and his swag yacht and his Swiss bank accounts. When she went over there, what was the context of that? It was, he's so cool. All the people, they love him. What a great leader. I need to go over and advocate for him in America when I get back. She was brought over there. My friend Anthony, he points this out. You know, how did she even get over there in the first place? She was marked. She was picked out from every single one of the hundreds of members of Congress. She was picked out by the SSNP. Oh, that's cringe. The SSNP is basically, it's Arab Nazis. They are a party in Syria that sings the praises of Bashar the Butcher, and they pointed her out as somebody that was co-optable, somebody that if they brought her over and showed her what Syria was like, they could send her back and they wouldn't even need to feed her talking points. She would sing the praises in America and fight for Bashar. They didn't need to pay her or anything. You know, as Hillary Clinton said, as being an asset of Russia and all this fascist Russia. No, I don't even think it's that. I think she's just gullible and she's stupid and she's incapable of finding out that the grapefruit is fake. It's like the movie The Interview. I've made this analogy before. Reese has made this analogy as well. But of course, Reese, Prince of Warmongers, of Nightmare Fuel, Reese the Based. We talk about the movie The Interview, if you've seen it, you know. Well, what happens? You know, you go over and you see, oh, he's swaggy, Kim Jong-un, he likes Katy Perry. And look at the markets, they've all got the food, and the people, they must be so happy. And then, of course, you find out, like, oh, the grapefruit is fake. You know, fake pears, fake bananas, fake watermelon, fake grapefruit, right? It's like, it's all fake. And then you have that epiphany that everything that you've been shown is just a Potemkin village. And you realize that the man that you were just listening to Katy Perry with is actually a really bad guy, that he's actually evil. And you realize that you are in the den of the devil. and that's not a really fun thing to have happen. But for Tulsi, she still thinks that the grapefruit's fake. Or I should say, she still thinks that the grapefruit's real. She still thinks that the watermelons are real. She still thinks that the grapefruits are real. She still thinks that the papayas are real. She still thinks that the bananas are real. She still thinks that the strawberries are real. She still thinks that the blueberries are real. She still thinks that the pie is real. She still thinks that the bread is real. She still thinks that that the praises are real. She still thinks that the democracy is real. Oh, it's so cringe. It's so cringe. It's like you put a 3-year-old who doesn't know anything about the world and told them that all the people, they sing the harmonious praises of the dear leader. And they're like, they come back and they tell you, you know, oh, they sing the harmonious praises of the dear leader. It's like, except there's a very good chance that the majority of toddlers out there have better critical thinking capacity that even they would catch on to there being something awry and something fishy. Even if they couldn't express in words. They may sense some sense of disingenuousness and some sense of hostage taking and some sense of tension on the part of the harmony of the peoples and the leader. Oh, I mean, how stupid do you have to believe that he's like this social democrat or whatever? But of course, with Tulsi, oh, it's all about my peace, and war bad. Oh, it's you know, war bad, MK. It's like, you guys know Mr. Mackey from South Park. Don't do drugs, cause drugs are bad, okay? It's like, that's basically Tulsi. Don't do war, cause war bad, okay? War bad, okay? That's basically her. It's basically her. She's the cringe lord. I mean, I talk about Donald Trump being the outtaker in chief. If she became president of the United States, she'd be the cringe lord in chief. Oh, she's bunk and junk. She's fringe and cringe. She's a fifth column. She's so gullible. She's so gullible. I mean, people talk about the average Trump voter as like being gullible and clueless and stuff. No, she's next level. She's next level. She's so anti-interventionist. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how depraved and how cringy and how treasonous she is at this point, and how much she's willing to sing the praises and lick the boots of Bashar the Butcher. It's pathetic. It's a disgrace. She's a vegan. She's a Hindu nationalist. She literally thinks that if you kill a cow for beef, that's an immoral disgrace. But if you're Bashar the Butcher of Syria, you can slaughter 600,000 Syrian humans, and that's a-okay. They had it coming. Oh, that's disgraceful. I hate Tanky Tulsi. Oh, I hate Tanky Tulsi. Oh, good on Buttigieg for calling her out. And she talked about, you want to invade Mexico. It's like, no, he wanted to send some troops there to cooperate with Mexico to help them get rid of a scourge upon their country. Mexico is an ally of America. I mean, you can't make this up, my hawks. You can't make this up. It is next level cringe. It's Russia Today level cringe. The stuff that she says on the national stage. She shouldn't even be there. She's the 1%. She's the perpetual 1%. I mean, the Democrats, they talk about eating the rich, eat the 1%. No, she's the 1%. Let's get rid of her. Why is she even on the stage? Why are there more people on the stage now than there were when these debates even started? This is cringe. She has no place there. And they didn't really let Yang speak too much of the debate. Now, I got my issues with Yang. I like UBI. I just think that it's a bit ambitious. It's probably not going to go through. I don't think he's got much of a chance of winning. And he's wavering on foreign policy. And he's close with Tanky Tulsi. I got a lot of issues with this dude. But they didn't really let him speak too much, and he's pulling it like fifth. So that's a bit of an issue. And then Tanky Tulsi's there to sing the praises of Bashar the Butcher. So that's inappropriate. That's unbelievable. And of course she has 1%. And mind you, when I talk about that 1%, everybody can look at that and say, oh, it's 1%. She's got no support. No, I will do videos on this. That 1% is very real. I interact with them every day when I share my memes to their meme page, Tanky Tulsi Gabbard Stank Meme Stash. Oh, wow. They are literal, like, they love the Iranian Ayatollah. They love Vladimir Putin. They love Julian Assange. They love Kim Jong-un. They hate Jews. They hate Israel. They see America as an imperialist, evildoer, a devil. I mean, to say they're fifth columns, I mean, they're next level fifth column. So, well, that is a bundle of cringe. They're fringe and cringe. Very deeply socially conservative by and large, too. Very socially conservative. I'm talking like Nick Fuentes level social conservative. That's how cringe these people are. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And of course, we all know that Tanky Tulsi, she's not a progressive. She's a reactionary, right? I mean, she's just pretending to be a progressive so she can get the Democratic nomination. Oh, good luck with that. At least she's going nowhere. But I'm still going to dunk on her because her rhetoric needs to be called out. It's unacceptable to sing the praises of the enemies of humanity as she does. She talked about it being courageous to go over and appease dictators. Was it courageous what Neville Chamberlain did? No, it was courageous what Winston Churchill did. Winston Churchill actually had the courage to oppose Hitler. Neville Chamberlain went over and said, oh yeah, you like the Sudetenland? Oh yeah, that's cool, that's cool. You like the Rhineland? Oh yeah, that's cool, that's cool. You like more land? Oh, that's cool, that's cool. And then Hitler's like, okay, well, I want Poland. And he's like, well, actually, that's kind of a problem. I mean, just wow. As I've said before, I stand by this. If you appease a dictator an inch, he will take a mile. If you appease him a further inch, he will take 1,000 miles, and so on and so forth. This is pretty simple logic, but she thinks it's courageous to appease the dictators. No, that's not courageous, Tinky Tulsi. That's not courageous. You looked up what you looked up. You must have been searching through a thesaurus, and you looked up feeble and weak and treasonous, and you looked under antonyms and saw courageous, and you thought that antonym was a synonym, right? That's the only way that you can make sense of this, except the only other explanation is she's a gullible lunatic who thinks that Bashar the Butcher and the pears and the bananas and the pumpkins and the praises and the votes, they're all real. It's all real. It's all real. Oh, how gullible. I mean, I've covered Tinky Tulsi for like a year now, basically, but wow, she's cringe. I mean, what do you even say to this? I mean, if we brought a 6-year-old on that stage, 6-year-old would have better critical reasoning than her. Like, no doubt, 100%. 100% a 6-year-old would be able to detect BS better than she can. It's like her BS detector was made in Russia. Oh, how disgusting. She can't detect anything. You tell her there's unicorns. You tell her that the sky is purple. If the dear leader says it, she'll believe it. Oh, you don't even have to pay her either. She's just a useful idiot. And she's a member of Congress. Well, she's a member of Congress for now. She announced that she won't be running for that seat. She wants to focus on her presidential aspirations. I'm so glad she's the 1%. I had nightmares that, we were living in the era of cringe and that somehow she would sneak through, but it doesn't look like it. Looks like she's going nowhere, because even anti-interventionist people can see that she's cringe. I mean, anti-interventionism is cringe as is, but she's next level anti-interventionist. She's like, she's basically Noam Chomsky level cringe. Wow. But yeah, Pete Buttigieg, he destroyed her. He absolutely destroyed her. He ripped her apart. He called her out. For meeting with dictators. And she's like, oh, well, JFK, he met with dictators or whatever. It's like, yeah, different context. He engaged with dictators to get wins for America. You, Tinky Tulsi, went over and met with dictators to sell out America. That's kind of a different context. The context matters. Now, granted, if JFK went over and met Bashar Assad right now, if he was alive and met Bashar Assad, I would criticize that. I would say that was inappropriate, because Bashar Assad is not the Soviet Union. Bashar the Butcher is not the Soviet Union. Yeah, he had to meet and had to appease the Soviets to some extent and negotiate with them because they had a lot of nukes. Bashar the Butcher has nothing. America could destroy him overnight. There's no excuse. America should take him out immediately. There's nothing. Like, if he had 10,000 nukes, that would change the equation. I hate to say it. I hate to say it because I'm a moral universalist and I believe that all humans have dignity. But let's keep it real. If you have 10,000 nukes and then you go and kill 600,000 people, that changes the equation versus if you kill 600,000 people and you have no nukes. Bashar the Butcher, fortunately, has no nukes. So what are we doing? Let's go. But of course, Tinky Tulsi, she sees it as courageous to lick the boots. Now that's not courageous. That's called pathetic. That they're different terms. They have different meanings. Oh wow. If you made a movie and you had a candidate who was going to sell to America and it was going to be a comedy, and they were going to say some really stupid, goofy things for laughs, for jokes, for memes. to sell, box office tickets, and you want to make a funny movie, you would script the candidate to say all kinds of things like, oh, well, the dictators, they're actually democratic and stuff, like interview level stuff, oh, well, Kim Jong-un, he listens to Katy Perry and the grapefruits are real. No, Tanky Tulsi Gabbard goes beyond that script. She is that in real life. She's the Manchurian candidate in real life, except she's even more cringe. It's amazing. It's amazing that this is happening right now. And her ardent defenders, they're all defending her. And you're like, well, why? Well, I got news. They're not defending her because of her education proposal. They're not defending her because of her progressive tax plan. They're not defending her because of her her being a woman or whatever. No, they're defending her because she likes the dictators. She really, really likes the dictators. And they really like the dictators. They're fascists. They're Nazbols. That's what they do. They lick the boots. They aestheticize licking the boots. They dream of licking the boots. They get off to licking the boots. That's what this is. For Tanky Tulsi Gabbard, then, to in any way imply that Pete Buttigieg is not courageous. I mean, he went over to Iraq. He fought in the Iraq War. Now, sure, Tanky Tulsi, I guess she was in Iraq too, or she was in the National Guard or something. I mean, it's hard to keep track, but, she talks about her military service a lot. By the way, her military service means nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because if you serve in the military and then you go and sell to America and you work on behalf of America's enemies, you can't go and say, well, I'm a soldier of America. It's like, yeah, a lot of spies are in the military of the countries that they spy on. That's like part of why they're picked to be spies. Now, mind you, I'm not alleging here that she's a spy. I'm not alleging that she's an asset in that sense. I'm not alleging that she has a handler. No, I'm saying she's a useful idiot. She's not fit for any political office. She's so easily gullible. It's disgraceful. The Hawks and I have had disagreements. Minor disagreements. We've had debates about this. We debate about the extent to which what she does is malicious or is a function of her gullibility. And to be honest, my Hawks, I really don't know at this point because it's gotten so stupid. It almost has to be malicious. It almost has to be. They can't just be her being a useful idiot. That there has to be some seriously nefarious thing going on here, that she's been hypnotized by the likes of Bashar the Butcher and Vlad the Thug to sell out and undermine American resolve from within on the national stage. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace, and she has to go. She can't be coming back to these debates. She has no support. I mean, 1%. The only reason why she's there is because of like the donor count and stuff, and of course her donors are a bunch of losers where that's all that they'll give money to is because they hate Jews. So they'll give money to Tanky Tulsi because she's against Jews or whatever. I mean, oh, Tanky Tulsi, she's not anti-American, she's just anti-Jew, all that kind of crap. It's just, wow. I mean, no, Tanky Tulsi Gabbard, she is a fifth column. She's a fifth column. The question is, to what extent is she actively working on behalf of our enemies? It's an open question whether she's a useful idiot or an asset. But y'all saw what she said there. I mean, does anybody think that this is somebody who's fit to be the leader of America? What she said there, if you were the state media of Bashar the Butcher, that's what you would say. She acts as if she were an asset. Now, I think she's gullible and stupid, so they don't need to pay her. But I wouldn't be surprised if they were paying her. I really wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. That's why I think they're not paying her, because they're smart and they know that they don't need to, because they're busy fighting a war and everything against their people who want bread and freedom. So They're not going to go and waste their money giving money to somebody who will do their job regardless of whether they pay her or not. But it is worth noting here that she's not done. She's not done. She's going to say something else. And one of these days, she's going to say something that's just so blatantly, obviously anti-American and pro-Bashar the Butcher without any caveat of, well, okay, but he's a bad dude, that she's just going to have to go. She's going to have to be removed from the debate. She's going to have to be disinvited from these debates. Because, I mean, you can't have a foreign agent showing up here running for president of the United States so that she can sell out the country to a genocidal mass murderer who's a puppet state of America's top rival, fascist Russia. It's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I mean, wow. Just wow. And I mean, we're gonna see some Tanky Tulsi supporters around. They tend to flood this channel when I post these kinds of videos. They are not of our sensibilities. I mean, I'm serious. I've interacted with these people a lot for about a year now. If you try to appeal to them on matters of gay rights, or you try to appeal to them on matters of economics, try to appeal to them on matters of liberty, freedom, human rights, they'll call all that Jew degeneracy. They'll say it's Jewish degeneracy and you're trying to subvert the white man and all this stuff. It's like, oh, no, they are. I mean, there's a reason why David Duke supports Tanky Tulsi. She's like a Hindu nationalist. And yet this white supremacist David Duke, white nationalist, he supports her. Why? Because she's the Kremlin candidate. Because she's Bashar the Butcher's cowgirl. That's what she is. And what's David Duke about? Well, he's an actual principled man. He's actually principled. Like, in fairness to David Duke, he claims to be a fascist here, and he likes fascists over there. See, that's consistent. See, because me, I'm a liberal. I'm a neoconservative. I believe in liberalism here and liberalism over there. He's a fascist here and a fascist there. So he's also moral universalist. We just happen to disagree on everything. But the thing is, Tanky Tulsi, she's all about, ma progressivism here, but ma fascism over there or whatever. No, she won't brand it as fascism. She'll say it's like social democracy or whatever. I mean, or she'll say, oh, they can do whatever. It's their sovereignty. It would be courageous to get peace. No, it would be defeatist to get peace, because they're the ones begging for peace. It's not America begging for peace. America could wipe them off the map in an hour. They're the ones begging for peace. Oh, America has the upper hand here. She's trying to cuck America. And it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting, my friends. And yeah, no, she's acting on the behalf of Bashar the Butcher, whether she's paid to or not. That's so obvious. It's so obvious. She's she is the most anti-American candidate in a long time. I mean, you couldn't do a better job of trying to undermine the United States if you were working for Bashar the Butcher or Vlad the Thug. Oh wow. Yeah, no, she's got to go. She can't be at these debates anymore. I mean, it's just bounds of reason. There really should be rules at these debates. No, just like how the subreddit Neocon New World Order has, rule number 1, no dictator apologia. Yeah, that should be like a principle at any of these debates, like that you can't be the president of the United States if you're going to do dictator apologetics. Just wow. I mean, the thing is, this stuff still surprises me. I've been following her and I've been interacting with her loser incel basement supporters for like a year now. And it still amazes me the kind of crap that she's able to get away with saying on the national stage. I mean, she should be booed off the stage. Like, I'm not saying that anything should happen to her, like physically or anything. I'm saying that, obviously she has freedom of speech, but there used to be a time when if you express your freedom of speech to support the enemies of America, that people would look at you differently, that they would think that you were unfit for public office. Like if you said that you were a fan of Al Qaeda after 9/11, a lot of people would probably say, yeah, I'm not going to vote for you. Whereas with her, she can say that she's a fan of Bashar the Butcher, and people are like, oh, well, she's anti-war. She thinks war bad, so she's good. No, this is so stupid. This is what I talk about the era of cringe. We are really living in the era of cringe, my friends. I mean, I'm going to wrap this up here, but I mean, just wow. So have a good night, my friends. Peace, Warhawks.